finish this webinar, I'm ordering some Cubans.
We live in the most toxic time for a human being.
I mean, this is going to be a lifesaver for me.
So Ben, let's talk about what your actual genes mean from a lifestyle, biohacking and nutritional intervention point of view. So I'm in the nutrition report now, which is looking at the genes that are associated with what's healthy for you and what's not and how you interact with those. The more green something is, the more in line your genes are with the modern world. The more red something is, the more detrimental your genes may be in the modern world. The first chapter that we look at is coffee. Coffee is the most antioxidant rich drink on the planet. It's wonderful. You'll see loads of different conflicting opinions on whether coffee is good or bad. But if we just take the nutrition in coffee, it's extremely beneficial. Unfortunately, thousands of years ago, the coffee plant decided it didn't want to be eaten by bugs and created a neurotoxic agent called caffeine, and that killed the bugs. It's detrimental to our health as well when we have it. You have the gene, it's governed by an enzyme called CYP1A2, that clears caffeine. And in you, it clears it normally, which means that you can have more benefit from the coffee drinks. And there are actually studies around this. Someone with your genes actually has cardiovascular protection when they drink between 1 and 3 cups of coffee a day. So the next set of chapters looks at actually cholesterol. Cholesterol's taken from a blood test by your doctors quite often. It's something that we monitor as well.
Total cholesterol is above 200. However, because I also have pretty stabilized blood glucose, low triglycerides, and low inflammation, I don't mind that slightly elevated cholesterol. As you know, sometimes cholesterol can have benefits, but what I pay more attention to is whether or not I have risk factors that could potentially cause it to become atherosclerotic.
We're looking at how those cholesterol carriers, the trucks that carry cholesterol around the body, how they're built, how they function, and to see if you have a genetic risk of having higher cholesterol. So when we're looking at blood tests, we can see where you should be aiming really from a genetic point of view. Omega-3 is seen as really super cardiovascular protective and healthy. Too much omega-3 might cause an imbalance in your apolipoproteins A and B, and therefore your cardiovascular risk as well. So Ben, on to probably one of the most important reactions that occurs in the body, one of 10x Health's favorite reactions, and that's methylation. We need methylation, as I'm sure you're aware, for creating our chemical energy called ATP. We need methylation to occur. We need it to create a compound in the body called creatine, and creatine recycles chemical energy, so we get more out of our energy production. We need it for thyroid function, we need it for detoxification, we need it for keeping our cells behaving as they should for as long as they should. We also need methylation to clear our brain stress chemicals, so our epinephrine, norepinephrine, dopamine. Dopamine hits throughout the day from our social medias, etc. And how we clear that relies on methylation as well. And actually it's driven by a set few nutrients, but we actually have to activate them. And to do that, we have some enzymes. That's what we're looking at in the genetics. We want the methylation cycle to use its primary function and keep driving that circle around. And the best way to do that in someone with your genes is to just give you the already activated methylfolate in your supplements. So you'll find in your precision nutrition supplements, they're dosed to your need from a folate point of view.
Yeah, and if I could point out, by the way, because I was looking through this a little bit, this entire, that thick of a section of the book, you guys go pretty far into methylation with some good graphics here. I learned a ton just reading those, I think it was 5 different steps that need to be optimized. These books are super helpful.
One of the other big sections that we look at, and there's lots of chapters on this in this report, is detoxification. But every time we make a molecule of energy, we make a toxin. It's just what we naturally do, and our immune systems can use a little bit of that toxin to kill bugs and things like that, but too much of that toxin is very detrimental to our cells. When it accumulates and causes so much chaos within a cell, it's called oxidative stress. We live in the most toxic time for a human being.
Dude, I can't wait to get my IV. This is sweet. My kryptonite is when I go to big cities that are polluted and that just have, everything from chemicals to brake dust to tire rubber, etc. So I mean, this is going to be a lifesaver for me.
Yeah, we can't avoid life. You know, we live very busy lives. It's very toxic, our life. We're exposed to these chemicals. We need to really think about the quality of our food. Trying to go more clean with your eating and thinking about organic foods.
Yeah, totally. As soon as I kick the chain smoking habit, then we'll be firing on all cylinders. Finish this webinar, I'm ordering some Cubans.
Yeah, and the other key nutrient for the immune system is vitamin D. And we make vitamin D when sunlight hits cholesterol in our skin tissue. If you think of vitamin D as the fuel for a more important compound called the vitamin D receptor, and it's actually the vitamin D receptor that does all the actions. It changes the way genes express themselves, and that changes the way the cell behaves. So that's all the sort of nutritional health side of it.